5 common issues that come up in a pest and building. Now, I read through hundreds of pest and building reports every single year, and I have learned that there's just common things that keep coming up in these pest and building reports, and a rookie or a new investor that might get scared of those reports when they read them, but really it's just a common theme that we see throughout the pest and building reports. We do have to remember whenever a pest and building gets done, we need to understand that from a legality point of view, they need to make sure that they're covering themselves. And what we see is the very standard sort of things that keep coming up with a lot of pest and building reports. So let's talk about that now. Number 1 is roof glazing. We see in just about every property, if the property hasn't had a roof restoration within a 5 or 10 year period, generally they'll talk about, if it's an older property, that the roof glazing is going off. So that is a standard sort of thing. They'll recommend that you have a roof restoration. The other thing that goes wrong with roofs is roof tiles crack. It's very, very common to actually see 5 or 10 roof tiles that are cracked within a property. It's not something that's alarming, but it is something that you may need to get fixed and get those tiles changed. It's not really a hard thing to do either. So always look out, roof glazing, a roof restoration. It's not that big of a job, but we do see a common theme throughout pest and building reports that says that. Number 2 is kitchen reseal. Now, when a pest and building guy goes through and the building inspector looks at the property, kitchen reseal, the reason why they always add this in, even if it looks like the property doesn't need to be resealed, what they're talking about now is where your kitchen bench is, just behind the kitchen bench, they reseal that with silicone so that no water can go down into the cabinetry. Now, what happens is, if that property is not brand new and hasn't been sealed brand new, they don't know if any of that part of the silicone along the kitchen bench has a pin prick that they can't see, and that's going to allow water down. So they will always recommend that a secondhand property has a reseal of the kitchen. It's very normal. Sometimes these kitchens do not need a reseal, but it just means that they're saying it needs a reseal because they want to cover themselves to make sure that there's going to be no leaks. This is the same with the bathroom. So with a bathroom reseal, the same thing. They're going along and resealing all the shower, they reseal all of the vanities, they reseal all around the bath as well. And what it's designed to do is obviously keep the water from seeping in and doing damage to the walls. But again, if the property's not brand new, a building inspector will always say that it needs a reseal, because if they don't say that and there is a leak that they couldn't see, then all of a sudden it's going to come back to them on a legality point of view. So these are just 3 common things. Number 4 is fences and retaining walls. Again, fences and retaining walls, they're out in the elements. Generally, you buy a property, it might be 10, 15, 20 years old. Those retaining walls, the fences have been standing there for a very long time. So it's very common to see fences where palings are missing, maybe there's rot to the fence, or even the fence is on a bit of a lean. That's a very common occurrence that we see with a lot of properties. And the same with retaining walls. Over time, those retaining walls are going to break down, they're going to rot, and they're going to need to be replaced. When it comes to your pest and building, you need to factor that in. If it does need to be redone, you need to factor that into the price that you're paying so that you're not overpaying for that property and you've already got that factored in. But it's very common to see these in the pest and building reports. And number 5 is drainage issues. Now, with a lot of properties, they might be dead flat and they need drainage to be able to get away that water when there's a big rain that happens. And now, when it comes to drainage, it's very, very common that the building inspector will always generally say you need to improve drainage if there aren't a lot of strip drains around the property to protect it, especially if you're on a slopey sort of land where it might be that the water is running into the back patio or the water is running into the front of the house. They will always be recommending to improve drainage. So these are the 5 common things that we always see with pest and building. It's no alarm. There's no need to freak out or get out of a pest and building. You need to go back to the vendor, renegotiate your terms and renegotiate the pest and building so that maybe you can get some of these items fixed. But you also need to understand that some of these items don't even need to be fixed, but from a legality point of view, they will put them into the pest and building reports. So that's up to you then to analyze that, to work out, to say, okay, does that actually need to be done? Or maybe are they just adding that in there so that it's protecting them? Anyway, guys, if you like my videos, please like, share, and comment. Until next time, guys, have a great day.